Hello and welcome to the RT Development Podcast. I'm your host, Matt Rossignol, and we're today's podcast number 31. And today's guest is a special guest. It's RT's current director of performance, Grady Greenwood. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Matt.
Yeah, second time on the show.
No, third. It's third.
Third.
Mm-hmm.
Which one did I miss? Oh, the Q. Oh, you're right. I forgot the Q&A. I know we did. Yes. Sorry. Anyways, glad to have you back on for the third. Excited to cover today's topic.
I'm really fired up right now.
Happy to hear it.
Thank you.
Today we're doing a Q&A. So we had some people send some questions in, and our guy Miles will be asking questions, and then we'll just kind of go back and forth answering these questions, and we'll go from there.
All right, I'm ready.
All right, Miles, first question.
First question comes from Mr. J. Bitter. At what age should kids start lifting?
I'll let you take the lead here, and then I'll follow up.
I think personal opinion from what I've seen has worked the best is the age doesn't matter. It's when they're ready to be in the weight room, when they want to be in the weight room, I think matters. Like when a kid's really interested in strength training, that can either be, sixth grade at an appropriate level versus like, maybe a freshman in high school, they're like actually ready to start lifting weights. Like it doesn't really matter the age in my opinion. I think it's like, when does that itch start to want to be scratched of, okay, I'm ready to get in the weight room. Maybe seeing it from like an older sibling or a father,
Sure.
Or like, like your son, like being in an environment of seeing people getting better, probably wants him to like start training, as soon as he can and start trying to do those things that those kids are trying to do too,
Absolutely. I think I agree. Big part is like when is the kid mature or like has the maturity to be able to handle. And for the younger kids, let's say 11, 12, 13, it doesn't have to be an hour and a half session. Coming in 30, 45 minutes of just really learning basic movement patterns. Even still doing stuff that kids start to lose out today, like crawling, somersaults, jumping, climbing, hanging, those type of things. Like those are all really important traits that are lost, especially as kids get older. And so continuing to do that just helps with overall athleticism and strength that is not through weights, but really, really important. The second thing I would say is this isn't so much when it is the right time, but more one thing I would say we've seen over the years is the kids that start in that like at least start in that 7th, 8th grade time frame and get them have some lifting or training experience under their belt going into high school really sets them apart. I mean, I think the biggest thing with that high school age is the physicality of certain kids being different, and so you can really set yourself up for success and put yourself in a good position physically as you take that next step from middle school sports to more like high school level sports where you're now playing against sometimes like grown men like who have gone through fully matured and things like that. And so when parents ask first are they mentally ready to start, but also in terms of like setting yourself up for success, that I would say 7th, 8th grade, if you start then, you're really going to set yourself up for success leading into high school.
I mean, there's some kids who probably don't lift at all in high school who are probably gifted athletes. And then, they step onto campus for the first time and they go into that college weight room and they're lost.
Sure.
You know what I mean? I like to think too, like the job that we do is to prepare kids for the college weight room as well. Like
Absolutely.
Just making sure they're competent going into that and making sure like, they're not a step behind and feeling, confident going into that college weight room, I think is kind of a huge piece for, kids in high school.
Sure. Yeah. No, definitely. I think it definitely eventually that if they haven't spent time in the weight room, it's gonna catch up to them. And so,
Yeah.
getting them ready for that, whether it be college and beyond, like getting ready is a huge piece. Question number 2.
What is your opinion on peptides, specifically athletes using them?
The question was, what is our opinion on peptides and specifically athletes using them? I would say, one, personally, I don't feel comfortable speaking on the topic because I don't know enough about the topic. And 2, I think it's really early in the process. There's not a lot of data out there on overall long-term effects for us to speak on. So personally, so I don't really have much to say on this because I don't personally know enough, and I'm not going to talk, especially something like this where it has a lot of. It's very popular right now that I don't feel comfortable speaking on that.
Yeah. I mean, like, I think my opinion on peptides is if you have nothing on the line and, like, you're not a college athlete, you can kind of do whatever you want. But, like, I'm pretty sure the NCAA regulates peptide usage, too.
Yeah.
Like, they don't allow it. So, like, if you're an NCAA athlete, don't take them.
Yeah.
If you want to lose eligibility and not play, I actually had a teammate in college who it wasn't even peptides at the time, but he got popped for a pre-workout he was taking because he worked at GNC. And it was like this small compound or whatever that they found. And they costed him a year of eligibility over pre-workout, So, like, I think, and, like, just be careful about what you're taking and where you're getting your information from is kind of like what I'm getting out of that too.
Yeah, just to add on to what Gray just said, if you shouldn't be if you're a college, any athlete, if you're especially college pro athlete who is getting tested, you shouldn't be taking anything that isn't NSF certified, so that you know that you're taking something that is legit and been tested. So, and I think that goes for all athletes. Like, you shouldn't be taking something if it's not NSF certified, because you don't know exactly what you're getting into.
Yeah.
Next question.
Question 3. Should players going to college try to two-way or stick with what they're already best at?
Question 1 is, should athletes or players going to college try to two-way or stick to what they're best at? I think this is a really complicated, I don't know, complicated, but there's a lot that goes into this. One, I'll start with, I think it depends how you look at it. If you have, just because, let's say you're a hitter who's hitting over 300 and has a lot of doubles, and then a pitcher who throws really well, you have to look at 2 things. What is the competition you're playing against that you're having those numbers and having that success for? Guys can put up good numbers on both sides. Are you really do those numbers translate against the skill level that you're playing against? What about your tools? Where's like your tools in terms of, and these are showcase numbers, but it does give us a little bit of an understanding where you're at in terms of, like your exit velo, your 60 time, your pitching velo, all your other metrics. Like, does your metrics on both sides of the ball match up to where you're trying to go play, or the level that you're trying to play at? And that's where it comes in. Is like, yeah, you can put up good numbers in high school on either side of the ball, but do those metrics actually match up to where the level that you're trying to go play at? And so 3, I would say, from guys, very few guys actually have been successful doing it because it's really hard to, 1, manage your time, 2, get enough reps on either side to be able to compete at especially like a high college baseball level or higher. And so are you able to get enough work in and put enough work to see the success that you're looking to be. Like, so a lot of times guys we see this with whether it be training or pitching. It's like they want to learn 5 different pitches at once, or they want to like try to hypertrophy, strength, and speed all at the same time. And sure, if when you try to do so many attributes or things at once, you end up just being mediocre at all instead of actually like being really good at one. And so that's the one thing that gets hard when you get to the college level. You only have so much time to train and play that you have to you just don't have enough time to put as much work on either side that you want to be. Now, the last piece of it that I will say is with today's new college rosters and the rosters and them cutting them shorter, if you are a legit two-way that can play both sides of the ball, you're going to give yourself a lot more opportunities for schools to come find you because rosters are limited. And now if you're able to do 2 things while only carrying 1 roster spot, you are definitely more valuable. So I would say if you are a legit chance of two-waying at the college level, that's a great commodity to have, and it's going to be definitely a big piece for schools when they're coming to look at you. But just do you really have the tools on both sides for the level that you're trying to play is how I would look at it.
Yeah. And like kind of my thought when that question came up too is like, I think it's really rarely the athlete's decision to continue to be a two-way. Usually I think it lies in the coach's hand of where you're going to go play at and where they see your value at too. And that's probably just the harsh reality of like, some kid wants to keep hitting, but he's a really good pitcher, and some coach is probably going to tell him to hang the bat up eventually if they're paying them a certain amount of money to go to a school. And that's just kind of how it goes sometimes, So.
No, I think that, yeah, I mean, I think kids ask all the time, like, what should I do? And I mean, make the coaches are going to make the decision for you. Make them make the decision, and you just keep working. But you also have to be honest with yourself of where you're at.
Yeah.
So that's a huge piece. Next question.
How should players or athletes bulk up for mass without gaining an excessive amount of fat?
There you go first.
That's a really good question. Well, I think when people are trying to put on weight, like, I think putting on fat is kind of something that just has to happen. Like, I don't think it's something you can completely avoid and just be like, I'm going to put on, 10 pounds of lean mass or lean muscle within a year. That's not possible. But like, I think there's just a misconception surrounding fat, like fat gain in general. Like, it's a bad thing. It's not. Like, when you're trying to put on size, like, it's just going to naturally come with bulking. Like, it's just going to have to happen. But like, if you look at like a bodybuilder's approach in the off season of like versus when they're competing, they put on a lot of weight and probably a lot of fat on top of it. And while they're doing this, they're also putting on muscle. So they'll go into like a bulking phase and then into a cutting phase to seem more muscular during that competition season. So like, I think you just have to be okay with like putting on a little bit of weight in regards to fat if you're trying to bulk up and you're trying to become bigger. Now is that like go smash a family pack size of double stuffed Oreos? No, but like eating the right things, like lean protein, carbs, and and good moderation fats too, like and eating at a calorie surplus. I just think you can do a bulk in the right way. I think some people take the dirty bulk a little too far. Personal opinion though.
I don't disagree. Yeah, the only thing I would add is, I think if you're, kind of, Grady talked a lot about it there with like eating in a surplus. It's just bound to happen. That's what's going to happen. And then with that, I would say, I think, and this is something I've asked, and there's nothing wrong with wanting to have whatever physique you want to have. But when talking to athletes in the past, it's what is more important to you? You gaining that size to help you perform, or do you not put that size on and now your performance isn't getting to where you want it to get. Like for some guys, putting on weight is a huge piece. See huge changes in velocity and power just by adding some weight. Then when their weight goes up, their strength goes up as if you're pushing weights at the same time. And typically when you're pushing calories, like a calorie surplus, helps you gain strength a little bit. It's a lot easier to gain strength when you're eating appropriately than if you're under fueling your body and trying to gain strength. It can be done, but it's definitely a lot harder. So with that, you just kind of have to be honest. Like, what is the ultimate goal? And so if the ultimate goal is put on size so you can gain strength and do all these other things, then you might put on a little bit of body fat. You can cut down a little bit after when you go into kind of more closer to your season, or get into more of like a maintenance mode. But I think you have to also ask yourself what's the most important thing for you.
Yeah, and then like just thinking like I'm thinking about like high level, like even the professionals that train here, none of them look like they're gonna be like stage ready.
Yeah.
You know, like
Absolutely.
they all look like you know, in my mind, healthy individuals. Like I think the other thing with like bodybuilding in general, it's like it's pageantry. You have to look a certain way, but just because you look a certain way doesn't necessarily mean it's healthy. Like when you see those guys taking like the perfect shot, you know, and they're flexing, it's like they're probably really dehydrated, probably not eating a lot, and are starving. Like I think there's a big difference between a healthy body and what a body you want it to look like. I would argue a lot of professional athletes have a healthy body.
Oh, absolutely. And I would argue that there's not the point of this, but a lot of those guys that you're talking about also aren't healthy on the inside because of what they're doing to their bodies.
No,
So
not at all. Not at all.
so yeah, and I mean, if you will see any of our pro guys that walk through this door. I mean, yeah, they're big, they're physical, but they're not bodybuilders. They don't have bodybuilding physiques.
Like,
So,
have you seen like that Tom Brady picture? Like when he got
Yeah.
drafted. Like he's
Yeah.
not. I mean, like, or like Patrick Mahomes, like if you're quarterbacks, like those guys aren't like super shredded or whatever, but they're high performing. So like a high performing body doesn't have to look a certain way. It just has to be healthy and robust for the sport that you're trying to play.
absolutely. Next question.
It's kind of like or it kind of relates to the last one. How do you train properly without losing athleticism?
Go ahead.
My thought process of in training in general is an approach of you know, it depends on where you're at in life. You know, if you're in middle school, play as many sports as possible, and train at the same time. But you know, if you're becoming really specialized in one thing, and say you're a PO and you're a sophomore in high school, you know, your training should consist of things that are athletic. And when we describe athletic things, it's jumping, sprinting, changing direction, agility work, reacting to something. I'm a big fan of like Austin Yoakum does an awesome job with like playing games, just to maintain some form of athleticism, and just kind of getting away from normal training standards. I think, and like asking your body to push itself outside of its comfort zone. Like flips, crawls. Matt mentioned that earlier. Hanging from things, being able to move freely in space without asking it to do too much, I think is kind of my thought process a little bit.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think a lot of everything kind of Grady was talking about. Also, like just a properly built out program. I think. I mean, like we try to start every session after the warm up with some sort of like explosive sprinting, jumping type movement. Those are going to be characteristics of athleticism and speed and power. And so just how we build out training, kind of like on the last question, is how you approach it. We're not going to do bodybuilding style training. It's not going to be a lot of hypertrophy. It's not going to be a lot of just stuff that's going to be more single joint movements, a lot of compound stuff, a lot of athletic movements, a lot of jumping, a lot of reacting. I think things like that are going to help you maintain and continue to grow those that athletic qualities in the weight room. And I mean, I think in terms of at least from the standpoint of what we can control in the weight room, doing stuff, even something that's been getting big here the last month is spike ball, kind of prior to training, like little things like that where guys are able to do something athletic that's also has them kind of having to react. It covers a lot of qualities in terms of reaction time, speed, short burst quickness, things like that. And those are things that I think, especially for us, like we believe in a lot of structure in our program, but also it gives them a little bit of some just kind of reactive autonomy, keeping it fun and athletic. Next question.
All right. What do you see on the mental side of some of the most successful athletes that you've worked with?
Ooh.
The question is, what do you see on the mental side of some of the most successful athletes that we have worked with? I think there's a couple of things here. Figure out where to start here. Well, I would say first, when it comes to the mental game, is the best athletes that we've had is their ability to, and I've talked about this a lot on the podcast, but I think this is a huge piece. Let's say in a bullpen setting, they throw a pitch not the way that they wanted to throw a pitch. Their ability to figure out what they did wrong. Yeah, they weren't happy with the result, but now instead of just dwelling on the result so it carries over to the rest of their day, I mean, we have younger guys that throw a couple bad pitches and now it's carried into the rest of their bullpen, their training session, and just the rest of their whole session in here versus the top guys. They're able to use that frustration, figure out what to do so they can make an adjustment for the next pitch. And then kind of on top of that, let's say they don't have a great bullpen. I mean, it happens to everyone. It doesn't matter. I don't care if you're a big leaguer or not. I mean, they've all had bad throwing sessions, I promise you, or hitting sessions. With that, their ability to okay, I got to move on and still get my work done, still get something out of this day is a big piece of it from just our in here. The other thing I would say is just their confidence that those guys have, regardless, at least the best ones, they all have confidence in themselves and they believe in what they're doing. They believe they're where they're at for a reason, and that drives them to, with that, they're not satisfied, so they want to keep making sure they're confident in themselves. And so I think confidence, their ability to use that frustration, if that's if the right way. And one thing I'll just add about some of our younger guys, in comparison, or not even comparing, the younger guys that are stronger mentally, or just they understand what they need to do. They kind of get into this tunnel vision of where they want to go, what they need to do, and they stick to it. A lot of guys, like I said earlier, they get off path if they have a bad bullpen, or they get distracted by guys coming in the gym. And the ability for the guys that really want to be the top guy is their ability to stay focused, stay locked in, and make sure they're doing what they need to do so that they feel prepared to get to feel prepared to go perform.
When that question was asked, I thought about one of my good friends. He pitches for the Rays, and he was just on a podcast, and he actually talked about. He's also one of the best pitchers I know, so that's why I'm telling this story. But he talks about his thought process of when he's pitching, and he never cares if he gets behind an account. He just acknowledges it and moves on to the next thing. So I think with really high performing athletes is you acknowledge the situation you're in, but you don't dwell on it. And then you just perform to the best of your ability. Like if it is a 2-0 count and you're behind, you acknowledge it's a 2-0 count. How do I get out of this? You know what I mean? You throw a strike. Like it just like, and then it's 2-1 and you build back up and you try to get yourself back into it. But never relying on what was and just worrying about what's next, I think is like something like I struggled with that in high school when I was a high school athlete. Like, I wrestled growing up, and my sophomore year I was pretty 500. I was wrestling at a heavier weight class. As a sophomore in high school, as a 16-year-old, I was wrestling 195 or whatever. It was a lot of seniors, and I didn't win a lot. And sometimes I would get down on myself about the match I just lost to that 18-year-old dude who is a little bit older, a little bit more experienced than me, and instead of focusing on what can I control. And that's, wrestling back to try to get third place or whatever. I think that's not talked about enough, is just like, hey, let's acknowledge the situation you're in and what we can control, what we can control. Like if you're a kid who's throwing, 86, 87, why are you, that's where you're at. Acknowledge where you're at and where you have to build on. Don't worry about the kid throwing 93 right now. It doesn't matter. Because the world's big enough for success for everybody too. That's the other thing. But I think, if you want to be a high performing athlete, having a goldfish memory is huge. Like acknowledge the situation you're in and what's the best plan of attack after that. I think that's kind of where my mind goes. And just seeing like from the high performing people in here, like, okay, that happened. How can I, what's next is I think the way to go about it is kind of what I think about with that question.
Sure.
Yeah.
I agree. Next question.
For both of you, how has your philosophy on developing baseball players changed over time?
Ooh.
The question is, how has our philosophy on developing baseball players changed over time? I'll let you start with that one.
Ooh, that's a good one. I think when I first got into baseball specific training, I was a pretty big like hypertrophy monster. Like I thought volume was key. I like not taking into account, volume also comes from pitching, so like I'd have kids crush like 3 sets of 20 on bicep curls, the same day they're about to throw off the mound. I'm like, okay, this isn't working. Like everybody's like, why's my elbow hurt? I'm like, I don't know, man. But I think not even the programming, because like I actually think programming is relatively, at the point I'm at now, it's easy. Like just understanding intensities and stacking them for when those are demanded, and having a plan of attack, I think has gone into my thought process of developing a baseball player. But also like, my big thing is like collaborating, not coaching. And I think like learning how to work with players, I think is a better way to develop somebody, instead of just like telling them what to do. But actually creating buy-in, collaborating with them, and being like, okay, this is what you want to do. This is how you feel. And not being scared to change the plan of attack. Like if it's a 4-week program, I'm not scared to change things 2 weeks in if something's not working. And I think, having a scheduled plan is great, but being able to make adjustments off that plan is not a bad thing either. And listening to what the athlete has to say, because they're the ones that are feeling and going through these things the most. And that's valuable. Like if you can listen to the athletes and see what they're going through, I think that makes you a better coach and helps develop a better baseball player. So it's not like really the X's and the O's. It's just learning how to work with people, I think, is what I've learned, at least through my career so far.
Yeah, I think on the like the communication, that stuff is definitely a big piece. In things that have changed, I agree. I used to, like, this is the 4-week plan. This is what we're going to do. We're going to stick to it. And trying to be having more conversations, getting to talking with the athlete more often, seeing where they're at, how they're feeling, especially depending on the time of year. Let's say they're in season, like checking in with them regularly, how their body's feeling, if they're not, how they're recovering, things like that, I think is something that is really important, something that I try to do more often, and not being ready to make a change to the program when appropriately or when needed. From like the only other thing I would say, just talking pure philosophy, I mean, I think couple things. One is, I used to, and I still think there's merit, but how I go about it and um, how I address it is definitely different. But like when I first came up, posture and PRI were a huge thing, and that was the big thing everything talked about or everyone was talking about, and I was trying to get everyone into this perfect posture and doing all that and doing all the breathing exercise, and I still believe in the breathing exercise, and I still think posture is important, but it's understanding that it's not about this perfect posture. It's about being able to move through postures and not get stuck. You see guys stuck in extension and can never get out of extension, or vice versa. It's like, how do we just get them to be able to move more freely and have more control and body awareness? So point being is posture isn't the end all be all. The other thing I would say, and I wasn't necessarily not training upper body, but definitely I think baseball players have been labeled kind of like, oh, we can't train heavy upper body. We can't push the upper body and get strong up there, and they're going to get too tight and bound up. And I think that's where, if we're talking about earlier, like bodybuilding style training and things like that, that's where it comes down to the style of training, I guess is my point. Is you can train aggressively and with the upper body for baseball players when done right and at the right volume and time, and just understanding how they move. And that's where the individualization is and things like that. Some guys, you might be able to overhead press with. Other guys might need to do a landmine press. But you can either one. You can load up pretty heavy and push it. And so it's just knowing your athlete, how he moves, and then from there, I think something that's really important for all baseball players is having a really, really strong upper back. So like those are things you can't do with just like 3 sets of 15 band pull parts. Like we got to actually like push it and train them. And I think, being able to, I don't know if it has to be 200. I don't know if there has to be like a certain weight number, but like getting strong and really training chin ups, and other overhead pulling exercises, I think are really important. So like, I guess that's where I would say I've made changes or thoughts, is like you can train upper body hard and get strong. It's not going to make you bound up if we do it the right way.
I agree. Yeah.
Next question.
What's something athletes think helps their game but actually doesn't?
Ooh.
The question was, what's something athletes think helps their game or performance but actually doesn't?
Dry reps.
I'll let you go first.
I think there's such a thing as doing too much, on the strength coach side, because sometimes you'll get workhorses who want to do as much as possible, like crushing themselves in the weight room, and which isn't a bad thing. Like that's what strength coaches want. They want people to push themselves and chase it a little bit. But like there is such a thing as doing a little bit too much, and it's doing more harm than good. So like having balance in that, I think, is important. But I think something that can maybe hinder performance too is like, maybe not having other things outside of baseball. Like if I'm being a well-rounded individual, some of the best kids and performers I know have other things outside of baseball that they do. Like Caleb loves fishing. You know what I mean? Like he can talk about fishing for an hour. Like just being a well-rounded individual instead of like marinating in only just one thing, I think makes that thing way more enjoyable, because you can just go back to baseball and just love it. So like I know that's kind of a weird answer, but like having hobbies outside of one thing I think is healthy, and I think it makes that performance way more enjoyable, because you keep going back to it. You get to choose to go back to it. But yeah, that's kind of my answer for that, I would say.
Yeah. one, I mean, you're probably right on that part. Something I don't know, never knew. Probably something I should have learned is so I didn't put all or stress or think about it 24/7 because I definitely didn't have any hobbies. With that, and still probably don't. Besides this,
This is a hobby.
coaching.
No, podcasting.
Oh, I I haven't thought of it like that. Anyways, I think, and not to like bash all of the, and I think there is some merit, but at the amount that guys want to use this stuff, there is where you have to be. They overthink it is like all the recovery tools. I think recovery tools have value when used appropriately. They're like supplements. If they're used 5% of your overall training and the other 95% is you doing things that you need to do and training hard, then great. Supplements, same thing. If like 95% of your diet's coming from good, clean, or your foods and good proteins and things like that, then you're supplementing the last 5%. That's where I think it's okay. But then when we're, spending hour on the foam roller, an hour on the lacrosse ball, or any of the other recovery tools, I think just we're overdoing it and not getting what you're actually thinking you're getting out of it. Like people want to spend a ton of time on mobility work, and mobility work is important, but you're going to get a ton of more value out of like learning how to get a really deep squat. And that weight's going to help improve mobility at the bottom of a squat when done appropriately a lot more. That's also going to make it stick, because just stretching without actually like doing something weight wise that's going to make it stick isn't going to get you those new mobility gains. So it's just the overdoing of stuff that should be a 5% of your overall training bucket versus 50%.
You know what else I don't like is freaking, and I use this social media. Like, I think kids can get into this. It's going to be a good thing and it can be a bad thing, because like I think everything we put out is good information. But there is a lot of coaches out there that don't put out great information. Who have, maybe little to no coaching experience. I call them the armchair coach. They're just coaching from their office at home, and they don't have the coaching reps on the floor or programming experience, but they believe in this certain thing that might not be that helpful for you. That grinds my gears. But, at the end of the day, I do think like kids are impressionable on social media. Like if you see somebody with a decent setup, and they, format it a certain way, and they tell you the most ridiculous thing ever, you might believe it. And then, it throws a wrench into maybe the coach's plan, the facilities plans they have for you. So just being careful about like what you're consuming on social media, because I think 90% of it's pretty good, but then the 10% is like really bad. And just being careful about taking it for what it is versus just like changing your whole philosophy about how you should be training now from what one person said is kind of the way I think about it.
Sure. I agree, and the only thing I would just add, like, and this isn't necessarily completely to do with the question, but I would say in terms of what Grady just said is, there is a lot, even the good stuff out there, making sure you understand that not everything relates to you. Like, we have guys come and ask us, do I need this lead leg block drill, this hip and shoulder separation, this arm at flip up? Like if you're trying to do all those things and trying to use all these 3 different videos that you see, you're going to get lost, and you're going to end up just making yourself worse because you're trying to do so many different things.
Yeah.
But with that, I mean, we try to put out good content.
Yeah. It's just me
that
ripping
helps
deadlift
people.
all the time.
Huh?
It's just me deadlifting all the time. But like on the RT account, it's all good stuff. Like I think, but like also like from if I was somebody that, like was a high school kid and I'm looking through social media, a lot of things can be taken out of context. Like if you don't have context for a certain video, and like what Matt said, it might not relate to you. And just understanding that and taking it for what it is. And then maybe instead of just starting to do that drill, maybe, go to like some type of coach that is credible around you in your area, like me or Matt, Nathaniel Clay, Miles even, and be like, is this good or not? And like get a second opinion. I mean, people do it at the doctor's office all the time, but I get a second opinion, ask more questions, be curious about things. Don't just jump right into it and just assume it's good for you is the way I look at it.
Yep, absolutely. Next question.
All right. In a low-paying industry, what about coaching makes it worth it for you?
Question was, in a low-paying industry, what makes it worth it for you?
You want me to start, or do you want to start?
Go for it.
Okay. I don't have to wear a suit to work. That's kind of worth it. Like, being able to be comfortable in clothing, I think was always huge. Whenever I go to a wedding growing up, I'd just be sweating, so I just don't see myself in an office job like that. But just because you love it, I think I've met a lot of people who get paid way more than me that are pretty generally unhappy. And I think that just, I think it's the benefits of this job or being a strength coach in general is like being able to exercise, be around health and fitness, and then like walking every day is like something I really like instead of being stuck to a desk. So like I'll make that trade-off any day of the week. And also like any industry can be low paying at the entry level position, but if you climb and fight for what you want and you'll become credible and well known in your area or however, you can make a decent living. I think that's changing in the strength world at least. Like people are fighting for better paying jobs, and I'm big on like if you go into a position, grow that position and make sure it's like, better for the next person up. I think those things are important. And, I think I think health and fitness are actually the most popular they've ever been, like on social media and stuff like that. Also, like drinking alcohol is like way down as a population for the United States.
Definitely.
Like people care about health and fitness, and it's a growing industry. And I think like there's a huge future in it. So, I believe in it. And like the salary doesn't really matter to me all the time. Like obviously there are things like you have to like be able to afford life, but like when you're young in your 20s and you're like, love something so much, you'll just like keep going with it a little bit. But if you get really good at what you do, people will pay you what you're worth too, is what I kind of think.
Abs. A couple things here. I mean, I think one, I think there's no better reward than seeing an athlete who comes in with a goal and going helping them go achieve that goal. And I think that's what it is for me. And it's like every athlete that comes in here with some goal, regardless of how big it is, just trying to help them and seeing them seeing them achieve that goal and get to where they want to get. I mean, that's a huge piece. Getting to wear a beanie every day, kind of like Grady talked about.
No
wearing
suits,
a
man.
suit.
I couldn't be in a suit,
But no, I mean, I think it's just being able to help people and in all sports, but I mean in a sport that gave me so much, trying to give back, I think is something that it keeps me wanting to keep doing this and keep helping people and keep getting better. And so.
Yeah. I mean, like, I don't think I could see myself doing anything else either. I remember when I first went to college, I was a history education major. I took my first education course. I was like, this isn't for me. I was like, this is not for me. Like teaching was not it. But it's kind of weird as I ended up being like an after school teacher a little bit, so like
kind of like how I tried to work a job one day and in like the, let's say, normal world, and I lasted one day and that was it, and said, I'll never work, like a corporate type world.
I can't do it. But yeah, I think a lot of people do this because they love it, not because of I think I think you can make a decent living doing this work. I don't think anybody like it's very rarely you're going to become a millionaire. You know, I think there's like maybe 5 college strength coaches that are actually millionaires, and those are like Alabama,
Yeah.
Iowa, like really high end power four schools. But like you know, even at the collegiate level, it's not paid well. Like at a like San Jose State. I don't know who the baseball strength coach over there, but I can't imagine they're making $200,000 a year. That just doesn't come with the territory. But I bet he or she just loves what they do, and that's why they do it. It's not really about being paid a certain amount of money. It's more about the perks of like getting to work with athletes, get a lift in cool gyms for free, and it's really because you love to do it.
Absolutely. Next question.
All right, last couple. What is your favorite memory at RT?
Question 1 is, what is your favorite memory at RT?
Well, I think last time I did the Mayan deadlift thing, but I don't want to do that this time. Current memory? I'm trying to think. I really liked last year when we did a spike ball tournament during the summer program. That was like way too long. It was like probably 2 or 3 hours, but we did an actual tournament style. And that was really cool. That was really like fun and competitive. And that was like one of my favorite days of the summer program, I'd say. That's kind of one of my favorite memories too. What about you?
I think last time I think I said Jared making the big leagues or big league debut. I mean, that's definitely up there. I'm thinking of another one. Trying to think of something as everyone like the other one that pops out is like being there and Caleb got drafted. But I'm thinking in here, any of the time, I mean, especially the old facility where we were outside bullpens and like guys going for PRs and everyone just standing around screaming at the guys, and just the environment and just seeing everyone stop what they're doing to come cheer on somebody to as they're throwing the end of their pen going after something. And just everyone, regardless, they could be the biggest rivals, they could be someone who doesn't even know the guy, but they all go out there and kind of cheering from, building that energy. Something that I think, yeah, definitely any of those moments always stand out to me. It's just how cool it is in the moment when it doesn't matter who it is and who's throwing or whatnot, just the energy that and all the support that guys get around them.
Yeah, that is like the special. I like it when people are like lifting really hard next to each other too. Like when they're like pushing each other in like a split squat,
Absolutely.
I actually think like there's no certain memory that I really like can pick out, but I just like it so much when you see 2 kids from 2 different high schools training with each other. I think that's always like really cool to see, like guys that aren't teammates at all just like pushing each other. I think that's like really fun to see, like one of my biggest pet peeves is like when kids just wait for like a SSB and you're like, just go share with that guy. You know what I mean? Because you could just go make a friend. And like, that's really cool to see too. Because like now, like I think the high school kids are so close here. Like, and that some of them live in Santa Cruz and San Jose, but they're still really close. Like, I think that's like just cool to see. And they like hang out. Like those things I think are just memorable. Like it's not a favorite memory, but just things that are memorable is like, even though it bugs me so much, but them just sitting on the couch and like talking to each other, instead of like, the gym closes in like 30 minutes. Like, we got to get up and get going, guys. Like you've been here for an hour and a half, but,
it's their second home.
Yeah, it's good. It's a good thing, but, urgency is good too.
No.
but the, like I always think that's cool, and them debriefing about their games, like them talking about each other's games and stuff like that. I always think that's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, I've said it on a recent podcast, but something that I thought was really cool was when we had 9 different kids from 9 different schools, all one sitting on the couch, and then they were all going to go out to lunch together once everyone was done, and so moments like those are definitely a favorite,
Yeah.
and I think are pretty cool and something we see pretty often here with the relationships that guys build from regardless of where they're from.
Yeah, it's just cool. It's cool.
All right, last two questions. What do you want athletes to remember you for years from now as a coach?
Ooh.
Question was, what do you want athletes to remember you for as a coach? I'll let you go first.
I think personal philosophy, not including strength and conditioning, was just generally make somebody's day better. What's really hard about this job is you only see kids maybe 6 to 8 hours a week, and you don't know what's going on. I'm not saying that we know, like, people are coming from bad situations, but you just don't know what's going outside of here all the time. And if I can like genuinely make somebody's day better, you know, for that hour and a half to 2, I'm going to. And like I would like to be remembered for that. Just like, okay, Grady, that was really cool seeing Grady today, or people looking forward to coming in and knowing that they're gonna get some type of like positive interaction, because those are like kind of far and few between. Like I don't think everybody gets positive interactions all the time. And I don't really care about like programming and like the X's and O's of coaching as much as I do about making sure somebody is like feeling loved and welcomed into a space. I think that's like something that's missed out on a lot of facilities. Making sure like kids want to be here and also they feel loved and appreciated, I think is something that is missed out on a lot. And I always tell like young coaches that it's like, if you're not trying to make somebody's day a little bit better, you're doing it wrong, I think. So that's just a personal thing. I hope people remember me for that, and also like whooping butt and spike ball all the time.
Besides the spike ball thing, I mean, I would agree with everything, or I would just echo what Grady said. I mean, I hope guys just remember me for always wanting the best for them, having their back, willing to do whatever I could to help them get to where they wanted to get. And so, yeah, I mean, on top of everything else Grady said, that would just be the biggest thing, is never anyone like questioning whether really had their back and so, yeah.
Like one of my favorite things is like when you haven't talked to an athlete in a while, they'll just like reach out to you randomly. I always think that's like really cool, and like being remembered about the relationship, not as much as like like other things, like just being remembered, like this person like genuinely cared and had my back, like you said. And I think those things are cool. Like that's the cool part about coaching. It's more about, and besides strength and conditioning or skill, it's really about like the relationships you build. I think it's just the really special part.
100%.
Yeah, it's cool.
Next question.
Will Grady ever hit 80?
No.
Will Grady ever hit 80?
I think it's a dead dream, guys. I think I got really close. I'm going to round up and say I did it. So this is the announcement.
I have bad news for you.
What?
We don't round up here.
We round 78.8. I'm rounding up. I did it. I'll put some editing stuff up, like some horns going. Burr, 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 burr. 80 has been hit already. Grady did it. The journey's over. Personally, I don't think I can do it. I have a newfound respect for baseball. Do you know what I mean? Like a lot of lessons are learned. I was consistent with the throwing stuff. We got really busy when I was really hot, like November. We got really busy with the college kids coming back, and I kind of like lost track. And that was probably the closest I'll ever get to it. But I think what's really cool about like the 80 mile power road to 80 journey was the process actually works, because I did throw harder. Listen to people that are smarter than you, because you don't know everything, is something I learned. Load management, huge. At one point, Matt, I was having so much fun. I was throwing 5 times a week, and my arm hurt, and I was like, I can't do it. I started to tell kids I can't play catch with you. Like I had to respect that side. But like learning how to, and also like I think it's cool that I'm going to be able to teach my kids how to play catch one day. I think that's like a really cool piece of it. Like I'm probably going to really appreciate. Hopefully, I do have kids one day, but maybe a nephew, maybe a nephew I can play catch with. But like teaching some my son or daughter or whoever how to throw, I think is valuable. And like now I know like a general way to do that with my quotation fingers. But like there's things I learned from that that I get from a lifetime now. And like honestly, it's like also just like interest of training at the moment too. It's like right now I'm doing a road to 600-pound deadlift, and I don't know if Greenwood Training follow it. If you want to see the road to 600, be done. But like it's just like how it is with training. Like you just get different interests and different goals that you kind of want to accomplish, and yeah, that's kind of how I feel about it. Probably not going to happen, but I'm happy I did it.
Very nice. That was the last question. Great. Well, one last thing. As some may know, by the time this comes out, this is Grady's last week as performance, director of performance. It's been awesome having you on the team, and excited for his next journey. But yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for everything, Matt. I really appreciate you.
Of course.
I'm sorry I couldn't hit 80 here either.
If you hit 80, I was gonna let you sign the mine out.
No, you weren't. Were you really?
That would have been the equivalent.
Should we try it today?
Yeah. Man. Well,
yeah. Thank you, Matt.
Of course. If you guys want to follow Grady's 600-pound deadlift, you can find him where?
Greenwood Training. At Greenwood Training.
All right.
Yeah.
Till next time, if you have any questions, need anything from us, you can find us at rossistraining.com, on Instagram at rossistraining. And till next time, talk soon. Thanks for listening. Bye.